In a surprising turn of events, seasoned politician Michel Barnier was appointed as the French Prime Minister by President Emmanuel Macron in September 2024. Barnier, a prominent figure in the European Union and known for his tough stance in the Brexit negotiations, was tasked with bringing stability to the French government. Macron's decision came after a snap election resulted in a hung parliament, leaving the country in political deadlock. The move was seen as an attempt to unify the nation and navigate the turbulent waters of French politics. Barnier, a member of the center-right Les Républicains party, was initially welcomed by some as a pragmatic choice. His experience in navigating complex negotiations, particularly during his tenure as the EU's chief Brexit negotiator, was seen as an asset in the face of a divided parliament. However, his appointment was met with skepticism from some quarters, particularly from within Macron's own party, La République En Marche. The appointment was seen as a gamble, a necessary evil to prevent complete political paralysis. The political landscape in France had been particularly volatile in the lead-up to Barnier's appointment. The snap elections, called by Macron in a bid to strengthen his mandate, resulted in a fragmented parliament with no clear majority for any single party. The traditional left-right divide seemed to have been replaced by a more complex web of alliances and rivalries. Macron's gamble had backfired, leaving him with a weakened hand and a difficult choice to make. Barnier's appointment was, therefore, a calculated risk. Macron was hoping that the seasoned politician's experience and reputation for competence would be enough to bridge the divides in the National Assembly. However, the task ahead was Herculean. Barnier had to contend with a fragmented parliament, a skeptical public, and the constant pressure of navigating the complexities of French politics. The stage was set for a political drama of the highest order. The snap election in the summer of 2024 resulted in a hung parliament, a rarity in modern French politics. Macron's La République En Marche party, though still the largest single party, lost its absolute majority. The traditional parties, the center-right Les Républicains and the Socialist Party, saw a resurgence in their fortunes. Far-right and far-left parties also increased their representation, further complicating the political landscape. This fragmentation of the National Assembly made it impossible for any single party to form a government without seeking alliances. The situation was unprecedented in the Fifth Republic, throwing French politics into disarray. Macron, once seen as invincible, was suddenly in a vulnerable position. His reform agenda, which had defined his first term, was now in jeopardy. The political class was in uncharted territory, unsure of how to proceed. The divisions within the French parliament were not merely along traditional left-right lines. The rise of new political movements, fueled by social media and driven by single-issue concerns, had fractured the political landscape. The Gilets jaunes protests, which had rocked France in 2018, were a stark reminder of the deep-seated anger and frustration simmering beneath the surface of French society. The new political reality was one of fragmentation, volatility, and uncertainty. This fragmentation made governing extremely difficult. Every piece of legislation became a battleground, with parties jostling for concessions and seeking to exploit the government's weakness. The political discourse became increasingly acrimonious, with accusations and counter-accusations flying across the aisle. The public, meanwhile, watched on with a mixture of bemusement and concern, their faith in the political class shaken. The very foundations of French democracy seemed to be tested. Despite initial hopes that Barnier could bring stability, the political situation in France remained volatile. The fragile alliances within the government began to crumble, and internal divisions within Macron's own party came to the fore. The president's decision to appoint a prime minister from a rival party was seen by some within LREM as a betrayal, a sign that he was more interested in clinging to power than in upholding the party's principles. Adding fuel to the fire, the French economy, still reeling from the aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine, showed signs of faltering. Inflation soared, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary citizens, and unemployment remained stubbornly high. The government's response was deemed inadequate by many, further fueling public discontent. The Gilets jaunes movement, though dormant, threatened to reignite, its grievances left unaddressed. Barnier's attempts to push through controversial reforms, particularly in the areas of pensions and labor laws, were met with fierce resistance from both the left and the right. Trade unions, a powerful force in French society, threatened nationwide strikes, bringing the country to a standstill. The political climate became increasingly toxic, with accusations of betrayal and incompetence traded across the political spectrum. The French public, weary of the constant political turmoil, grew increasingly disillusioned with the entire political class. The final straw came when a group of LRM deputies, frustrated with Macron's leadership and Barnier's policies, broke ranks and joined the opposition in a vote of no confidence. The motion passed by a slim majority, toppling Barnier's government and plunging France into a full-blown political crisis. The country was now facing its most serious political crisis since the student protests of 1968. The future of France, once a beacon of stability and prosperity, seemed uncertain.